I'm Dr. Carrie Horn, author of A Soul Aligned, How God Heals His Creations, and Heart Known Series Workbook, a practical application workbook for biblical healing. In this video, I want to talk with you about telling the truth and having courage. If you've listened to my videos, you know that I really don't hold anything back. I speak bold, unashamed truth. But it took a while for God to build that in me. When he first began drawing me to the sun and talking with me about certain things, I just knew in the spirit that these were things that I was going to be talking about. I don't even know that he necessarily said it to me that plainly. I just knew. I knew that what he was talking to me about, that I needed to share that I was, for all intents and purposes, a spokesperson of sorts. I didn't really know the word at the time. And of course, he has definitely taught me the word by his spirit. And as obviously as I've read, he's the one who interprets it for me. He's the one who guides me. And what he would do early on is build something in me, and then he would show me where it was in the Bible. And then he'd build something in me, and then he'd show me where it was in the Bible, because he was proving to me that he was the one talking to me, that he was the one doing this. And it was just really incredible because I had no training in the Bible. I was raised Mormon, and we really did not read the Bible when I was growing up. I don't think ever, like sometimes here and there, if we were in like a church service and they referred to something, but that was really few and far between. So his voice was increased in me. His voice was very clear. He would talk to me about certain things. This was before COVID happened. And he would talk with me about being angry with the sciences, with medicine, with my field. And then he would talk with me about these things. And then as time went on, he would talk with me more and more. I started to feel afraid, and I would say to him, and even when I would do a workshop, he would build that workshop in me during the day. I'd go into the workshop at night, and he would have built in me what I was to say, what I was to talk about. And I would say, "You want me to say what? These people are never going to come back." But this is how he built me. And over time, I also felt that I was receiving threats from the enemy. And God allows that in order to, anything that's happening in our lives, we always have a choice who we're going to turn to. Are we going to turn to the work of our hands? Are we going to feed into what the devil is doing? Or are we going to turn to God? But we have to understand that God's sovereign over everything. We have to acknowledge his power and really believe that he has that power. And so he taught me that as well, that anything that is sent by him. I always have a choice about whether I'm going to be built by him or I'm going to succumb to the work of my own hands or an idol or whatever it is. So at the time, I used to think that those were attacks from the enemy. And certainly he's doing his best. He's given his good college try to throw me off the path. But here's the thing. Concurrently, God, who has all power, right? The devil doesn't have any power unless I succumb to it. Unless I start feeding into whatever he's doing, he does not have power. God has all power. And so when the devil would threaten me with certain things, and I kind of I've said in other videos and in the book that I kind of liken it to like a pimp, right? Where, they start to say you're not going to leave me, because I had been in bondage. I had been in bondage with him. I had sold myself to him through my sin, right? And we all have done that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to pray that you do. Because that might mean that you're in bondage right now. All of us have been in bondage. All of us were sold to him through sin. All of us have to be redeemed from him through the purchase that Christ made through his blood. And we receive that through faith. And the fruit of our faith is that we are receiving and responding to his voice, his ministry in us. So he would say things that, someone who, like a pimp, who someone has been sold to. I know where you live. I know what's important to you. And I'm going to ruin all of it. I'm going to take it away and I'm going to destroy it. But here's the thing. I kept turning to God. And God gave me exactly what I needed at that time. His voice was so strong in me. His convictions were so strong in me that I knew what he was doing. I knew that he was speaking to me and that he was moving me. I knew that what he was saying and building in me was real and it was true. There was no doubt in my heart. So the devil really had nothing to work with. So God built in me faith. And because I was living that faith, because I do live that faith, I have his spirit of peace. I don't worry about what's going to come. I don't worry about persecution. I know that there's going to be persecution. I realize certain things because he's talked to me about certain things that I have been set apart for, that I've been set apart to endure. And I know that when those things happen, that God has ordained them to happen at that time. But while I'm doing what he has set me apart to do, I don't worry. I don't worry about it at all. And I just want you to know that God didn't throw that at me all at once. He built me over time. And it's funny because in the beginning, when he first started talking to me about certain things, I would say to him, use me. And I had no idea what I was asking for. I mean, I don't think I'd do it any other way because of the joy that's set before me. But I didn't have any idea what I was asking for. I had no idea that he was going to strip me of my career and start convicting me that the things that I was doing and the training that I had was false and that it was not of him and that I would need to let go of that. And even still, I've talked about this over in the last week of things that he's convicted me. All right, time to get rid of the expensive shoes. And he previously had me get rid of a bunch of expensive dresses as well. He's just purged me of the world and purged me of everything that I had once placed before him. And he continues to do it. So my faith and my confidence has to totally be in him. And I just want you to know that that's the pattern of God. That is what he will do with you. And you don't need to be afraid. You don't need to be scared of anything that the world can do to you. God has set you apart for a purpose, and he will protect you while that purpose is being carried out. And then it's possible that you will lose your life at the end of that purpose, especially if we're living in the very end, which I believe we are. We have to wrap our hearts around that. We have to pray about that. And I want you to know that you're not able to do that on your own. God will move your heart into bold and unashamed truth. He will put that in your mouth and he will move your heart there. There are some times that God has me talking about things in these videos that afterwards I'm like, oh my goodness, what did you just have me talk about? But he has also taught me that he is the one who gives the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and the heart to understand. He's the one who's going to reach the audience that he wants to reach. He is the one who will command the storm. And if he tells me to speak something or to do something, he is the one that I need to fear. I don't need to fear the world. There's nothing the world can do to me that God is not sovereign over. I really hope that that encourages you. And I hope that if you're struggling with it, if you feel scared at all, pray. Ask God to turn your heart. He will. He will turn your heart. He will make you ready to do what he set you apart to do. Thank you so much for listening. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.